Well, it's been a year since we start building our tiny shipping container house.
So it's about time to update you guys on the cost of building a shipping container house. So let's get started. I'm Duca.
And I'm Roberta.
And together we are building our own tiny shipping container house.
So don't forget to subscribe
And to join us every Monday for a new episode. Well, for those of you who don't know, this is part 2 of a small series inside of our big series. What I mean by that is it's the second video about how much did it cost to build our shipping container house. I mean, how much is costing, because we didn't finish yet, we still have a lot of work to do. So basically this is an update of the old cost video. So what did we talk about on the other video on this?
So on the part 1 we talked about how much cost to build the footings, how much we paid for the shipping container, some modifications.
How much did it cost to cut the shipping container, to install the windows, to weld the window frames,
painting, and wooden deck, and roof and
gutter,
and
all this.
Miscellaneous.
So basically, that's all we talk about on the first part, and that's the total amount. We're gonna leave the video on the description below, so if you're curious to know more in-depth information about all these prices, like how many screws we use on the deck, how many pieces of wood and what kind of painting and how much each kind of painting costs, and all these, how many bottles of gas for welding, how many kilos of
everything.
all the details are gonna be on this episode. But there is one exception, that when we post this video, we hadn't finished yet the wooden deck.
Yeah.
So we have an extra $313 on the wooden deck. So that's the update price on this stage of the building. So what did you do since then?
So since then we have been working a lot.
Yeah, so basically the first video we did on maybe 4 months of building, and now we've been building for 1 year. So in this past 6-7 months or something, we have done so much.
So
a lot,
we did the internal framing, the insulation, the ceiling, the plywood walls, the electrical design, the green wall.
A canopy for the entry door. We did some more painting, a lot more cutting and welding.
Miscellaneous again.
We built some working benches that we're sitting on.
And we bought some new tools.
So that's what we're gonna, a lot of new tools, yeah. So that's what we're gonna talk about today, all this new stuff. So let's get started.
Yeah. So internal framing.
Yeah, framing, basically we decide to use a metal frame instead of wooden frame. The reasons are, we have a lot of reasons for that. You can watch it. We're gonna leave on the description also the episode about framing. You can check it out if you're curious why we use that. So basically we use 15 tracks, 58 studs, around 400 screws, and 12
planks of camera.
Oh, that's the frame, yeah. I was trying to remember
the
what was
wooden
that.
Frame that
we have metal frame for the walls, but we have a wooden frame around the windows for architecture purposes, just because we think it looks really good. I mean, like, it's just a good design. It feels good to have like a wooden hardwood frame.
So that's the total for the framing was.
That's the total for framing. So that's wall framing and window frames.
Yeah.
That's the total amount.
The insulation?
Insulation, we decide to use a kind of insulation that is called 3TC here. It's just the company that sells in Brazil. Yeah. But it's basically aluminum foil with a EPS core with aluminum tape to make sure you sealed all the joints. So we use 1,011 square feet of aluminum foil.
We still have some leftover that we are gonna use to cover the windows to protect against the sun.
And also to insulate the doors of the shipping container that we didn't do yet, because it's gonna be a storage place and we don't want the storage place to get hot.
Yeah.
And we use aluminum 820 feet of aluminum tape. That's a lot of tape, but it's really cheap tape also, so it's fine.
6 cans of spray foam to insulate around the windows and doors.
Yeah, it's because this kind of insulation needs to be really sealed, and it's hard to seal with tape around the windows. Just the metal won't glue the tape. So we use spray foam, and it's really good. Like, seals really, really well, and it was not that expensive also.
And we used some contact glue to.
But yeah, we didn't use much, so we're not gonna put the price of the contact glue here, because we use a lot more contact glue on the ceiling panels. So we're gonna leave this glue for there and just pretend this was left over from the panels.
So the total for the insulation was this. And talking about the ceiling.
Ceiling. Yeah, ceiling is something that could be cheaper, for sure. But we wanted to do the ceiling as it is. Just looks great.
Yeah, we're
just in love with the ceiling.
The exposed beams and.
Yeah, it's just we could do like drywall on the ceiling. That would be a lot cheaper. But I think we don't regret because this looks really good and it was a little bit expensive. So let's go to what we use on the ceiling.
6 sheets of plywood, 32 pressure treated pine.
Yeah, the pressure treated pine is to make sure the plywood wouldn't warp. We built a box on the top of the plywood, so it's just to make sure it won't warp much because a little bit always warp, you know.
10 white laminated.
That's what's expensive, the laminated, because we wanted to have a laminated finish, and laminated comes in really not wide panels, so we need to buy a lot more than we actually use it. So that's why it's so expensive, but
we have a lot of leftovers.
And we're gonna use that for the furniture, so it's fine. Doesn't, you know, it seems expensive now, but we're gonna use in the future, and then it's gonna be for free, so it's good, yeah.
12 beams.
The beams are just exposed beams, is 2x4. We did already. We just use to support the ceiling panels and look great.
Around 300 screws, 31 pounds of contact glue.
There was a lot of glue, yeah. We glue for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's the glue we also use for the insulation, so it's the same thing.
12 ounces of spray contact glue.
That was just a test that we didn't really like it. We just tried to use contact glue spray and...
We didn't know how much to use.
Yeah, it was like, I think we used too much because it's just hard to control, but we decided to use the old method, just...
And the stain that we use it on the beams, we are gonna put with the painting.
Yeah, welding and painting, we are gonna put all of them together, even though they're in different, you know, jobs. We're gonna just add them together, it's easier.
So the plywood walls.
Plywood walls, that was a long job. That was the last thing we have done. And the plywood walls was a lot of work because we didn't know at first if we were gonna do plywood walls or drywall. And drywall and plywood, here in Brazil at least, they have different width, yeah. So basically it comes in different sizes panel, and we decide to use plywood instead of drywall, so the studs were not on the exactly right place where they were supposed to be.
So we had a lot of leftovers.
So you need to cut a lot, we need to cut the plywoods in a lot of pieces, but we use all these small pieces to do the walls where are gonna be cabinets. So we use all the plywood. We didn't throw anything away, so it's good, but we had a lot of work.
So we used 13 sheets of plywood, around 700 screws.
A lot of screws.
And some scrap MDF that we used to build some templates.
Yeah, but it was not that expensive. The total amount is $480 for the entire wall of the ship container. I think it's a pretty good price. Electrical, we didn't do 100% of the electrical yet. I mean, we almost didn't do anything. All we have done, we did like all the preparation for the future electrical wiring. We have all the conduits inside of the walls. We have some electrical box.
We have 328 feet of conduit, but we have a lot of leftovers that we are gonna use.
Out of these, we use probably like 60%. 40% is left, and the reason for that is because we are gonna have shafts, and inside of the shafts, you're also gonna have conduits. Yeah. So it comes in a huge row. It's cheaper if you buy like that, so we just have leftovers for the shafts that we're gonna use in the future.
So 10 conduits connectors, and 9 small boxes, electrical boxes, one big electro box, one lamp.
One lamp, yeah, that's it. The lamp is just really cool. Yeah, the entry door lamp, we also bought some wiring for the lamp. Yeah. We didn't do wiring yet, but we needed to turn on the lamp. How we're gonna, put the lamp on place and not seeing how it looks, it looks great. We love it.
So we just used 20 feet of wiring.
Yeah, so the total amount for wiring, for electrical until now is this.
Until now, yeah.
It's going to be a lot more than that for sure, but that's just the beginning.
So the green wall.
The green wall basically is just reinforcement rebars welded together to form a place where the climbing trees can climb in the future. So we used 6 bars of reinforcement. It's like, that's the thickness of the rebar. And we did the paint we use, you're going to talk in the painting, in the welding, you're going to talk in the welding.
Canopy.
So that's it. Canopy. Canopy is a long story. A lot of people say that our canopy is over-engineered. I don't agree with that necessarily, but the reason why we did that canopy is because we really wanted to try this method that is plyglass, that's how it calls. It's plywood with fiberglass, so it's how some people build boats.
And we spent 3 weeks building the canopy.
That was
So
a good experience.
in the last episode about the canopy, we have all the costs detailed. So here's the link for the canopy.
Yeah, it's easier to see there because it's just too much to add here.
And the total cost.
The total cost is
one.
this. It's $195. I don't know. People say it's expensive, but I don't think so, because if we bought like a ready canopy, like a cheap canopy, it would cost like 200 and something, and we have a canopy that's gonna last longer than the shipping
I
container.
really like it. There
It's
is
been a few months and it's just exactly the same way it was. I'm looking there because it's right there, but it looks exactly the same as it was when we built, and it's gonna last for a long time.
painting.
Painting is curious because we've been buying so many different kinds of painting for the last year, and we always have some leftovers. That means that right now a lot of stuff that we paint is using painting that we already had on the first video, so we are not spending much on painting
No,
lately.
we are gonna tell you about the paintings that we bought since then.
Yes, since then we bought 1 gallon of thinner, half gallon of synthetic enamel, 5 gallons of undercoating. That's a lot because the can of undercoating is just 5 gallons, huge. But we are gonna use for so many things. Like we paint the whole ceiling, internal ceiling with it. We paint the whole south external wall.
And we are gonna paint all the
Yeah,
rest
it's
of
a really thick rubbery paint that sticks so well to the metal, and then you can paint with synthetic enamel on the top. So we really like it, and this amount is probably gonna be enough for the whole shipping container. So it's pretty good.
1 gallon of stain.
That was for the beams, for the ceiling beams.
Yeah. 20 ounces of black matte vinyl.
That was for the brackets of the breeze outside.
And the total cost for painting.
That's the total cost. Yeah, so that means like, of course, in the past 6 months we use a lot more painting than this. What it means is that we use the old paints that we already had, so the cost is not here. It's on the before video, on the last video.
Cutting and welding.
Cutting and welding, we did a lot more on the first half of the house, because it was when we cut the windows and install the, cut the shipping container, install the window openings and whatever. Right now, all we have done with cutting and welding are
the beam.
The beam. We have a structural beam to hold the ceiling panel on the center of the house.
The brackets to hold the framing.
Oh yeah, the brackets to hold the internal frame. There are a lot of small brackets. All the metals we use also leftovers. So the metal beam, we had leftovers from the windows, so we didn't add the price because it's already back there. The price.
Actually.
The connection. Yeah.
And
the brackets for the breeze. Yeah, we're gonna have wooden strips. Yeah, strips of wood outside of the house to make sure the sun won't touch the shipping container itself.
And also the green wall.
We didn't build yet that. It's just the brackets we're gonna build in the future, and the green wall is just a little bit of weld. It's not much.
So we used 11 pounds of MIG weld wiring, 2 bottles of MIG welding gas, 9 flap discs, 11 cutting discs, and the total amount
is this. Flat disc and cutting disc, we didn't finish all of that yet. And the 11 pounds of MIG welding, we still have some left. So but we need to add the price. But whenever we need to weld something, we still have some material.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous, it's just we always spend a lot. It's just like
brushes, rollers,
gloves and glasses and everything that you use and just you run out of it or breaks. Yeah. So we have that's $500 a lot, but it's just the way it is.
Working bench. We are sitting on.
Yeah, we built 4 working benches, one for the circular saw, one for the miter saw, and 2 other ones just to work on the ceiling, and so we can have something to step on.
And we have new shelves.
Yeah, it's really hard sometimes to work in the shipping container that we have not much space when it's a mess. So we built 3 shelves so we can store some of our tools and makes a lot easier to work. And we spent on that $90, but it's cheap. The reason why it's so cheap is because we use a lot of materials left over from other jobs. Yeah. For example, the wood for the ceiling panels we use to build the bench, one of them at least. Yep. The rest we use leftover of plywood and all leftovers.
And for the part 2 we spent $3,128.
So that's the total amount for the last 6 months. Yeah. In the months before we already spent $9,000. It's easier to talk about the grand total. Yeah. So the grand total of everything we built. So that's the total amount for buying the shipping container, transporting the shipping container to the land, to make all the modifications, install windows, doors, build the framing, the walls, the ceiling panels, the canopy, everything we have talked about. Yeah, the whole thing. I don't think it's that expensive. I think it's expensive, but I mean like.
Not including labor, because labor.
Of course, yeah, labor. Yeah, we're slaves. Yeah. Of course, could be cheaper. Could be a lot cheaper, but it's all based on decisions we make. The material we wanted to use, the wooden deck on the top that we didn't need to have. We mean like. A house doesn't need a wooden deck on the top, and we spend a lot on the wooden deck because we have such a nice view that we wanted to have a wooden deck. So it's basically, could be cheaper, could be expensive. I think it's all right.
And the tools.
Tools. We have a lot of tools, yeah. It's just, we have all kinds of tools you can imagine, and before the building we didn't have anything. So it's hard to build having tools. Without tools, it's impossible. So we need to buy tools. We spent until now, since the beginning of the building, $5,493 on tools. That means circular saw, miter saw,
everything.
Welding machine, everything you can imagine.
So the total amount with the tools?
So that's how much we spend on everything. Tools and...
Not including labor, as I said before, because we are working, just us. Sometimes friends come around.
Yeah, we didn't spend not even $1 in labor until now. We didn't hire anyone to do anything. I mean, the only thing we hired was a truck to, how you call like a crane to put the footings on place.
And the land.
And the land. The land is, a lot of people on the first episode ask about how much did it cost the land that we are building, because it's such a nice piece of land. Doesn't make sense to talk about the land, because people that watch our video, they are all over the world. It's just like people are in the States, in Europe, in Russia, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Brazil, in Jamaica, in anywhere you can imagine. And
even inside our city, the cost of the land changes a lot.
Real estate can change so much. This land could cost $10,000 in a place and can cost $1 million in a different place. So what difference does it make if we talk about the price of the land? And second, it's because this land is been in my family for 28, I think like 29 years. Yeah, like you can consider 30 years. So 30 years ago, not even the Brazilian currency was the same. The Brazilian currency was a different currency, so we really just don't know. I asked my dad and he just don't really know how much would cost if we put the past price in the present. So we don't need to talk about that. Just if you want to know the price of a land, you call a real estate agent in your town. It's much easier and more precise.
So another thing is the variation of the dollar since we start building till now.
Yeah, the thing is, we are in Brazil, so all the price we gave you, they are in American dollars that we convert to American dollars, but the price of the dollar changed so much in the past year. When we started the house, the dollar was 3.25 reais, then went all the way up to 4.1 reais, and now came back to 3.7. So it's hard for us to convert every single piece of something that we spend money.
Yeah.
So it's easier to give you the total amount. If you're in Brazil, we spend 45,000 on the house itself, on all the materials, and we spend 18,500 on the equipments. So that's the total amount in reais. That's what we actually spend. We didn't spend in dollars. So if that's what we spend on the house. What else?
We still have a lot to do.
Yeah, the truth is, you guys must be wondering, so why are you talking about how much it costs to build a shipping container house if the house is not ready? We believe the house is almost ready to be considered a house. All we need to do to be considered a house is to install plumbing and electrical. That's not much, it's not that expensive. After that, if you buy a house, that's how the house comes. The house doesn't come with furniture. Like
sometimes they put some flooring.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you buy an apartment, it comes only an apartment. You don't have furniture. You don't have everything you have inside. You add yourself.
Yeah.
So that means that's basically almost the price of a shipping container house. I think we can consider.
Yeah.
But even though I'm saying that, we have a lot of work to do. So let's talk about what we still plan to do on the house.
So we still need to do the flooring. We still need to build some walls between the kitchen and the bathroom and the storage place.
How's the floor gonna look like?
Yeah, we still are studying about.
Yeah, we wanted to do hardwood flooring. That looks really cool. But we are deciding what kind of wood we want to use. So, but it's gonna be a really cool project. Wait for it.
So we still need to build all the bathroom. We still need to build the furniture,
all the appliances,
and 3 wooden decks.
Yeah, wooden deck. We're still gonna have one wooden deck in front of the house on the entry door, another big one on the back of the house, on the corner of both sides of the house.
Doors.
Yeah, and we are gonna have a roof on this big deck, and in front of the ship container doors, where it's gonna be the storage place, we're gonna have another small wooden deck.
We still need to paint the shipping container.
Plumbing.
Plumbing. We still need to do the
A
plumbing,
lot of digging for the plumbing. Yeah.
electrical part. We need to plant the tree, but before
The
that we
climbing
need
tree,
to
yeah.
paint the shipping container
And I think that's it, right?
and the wooden breeze.
In the wood. Oh yeah, the wooden breeze. I don't know if breeze. Let us know in the comment section below. Is a wooden? Do you guys understand what we mean by wooden breeze, or only French people understand what we mean
Yeah,
by?
it's shade for.
In Brazil, we use this word that I guess it's French. That
Yeah,
it's
French.
like stripes of wood to create a shape. It's stripes, yeah. It's strips, yeah. It's strips of wood to create a shade. You know, like just like a lot of wood to make sure the sun won't touch the plate of the shipping container. And in this way, it's not going to be hot inside. I mean, it's not already. Like the insulation we did,
Yeah.
the walls are not hot at all.
No.
But it's just
the doors that are made from glass, so
Yeah.
the sun hits the
Yeah.
glass. And
so
and
basically,
some
that's,
of these we are gonna do after we move in.
yeah. The idea is to build the furniture now, the plumbing and electrical, and the bathroom, and then we move in and we
then
can do
we
the outside.
finish.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. But it's gonna take a while, still a few months. Yeah.
And we have new patrons.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's the first time in a long time, I mean the first time ever, that we have patrons that are good friends of ours.
Yeah, they are supporting us actually since before we start the project.
Yeah, when we arrived back in Brazil with the idea, I think they were one of the first persons we told about the idea of building the
Yeah.
shipping container house and
So-
starting a YouTube channel and the whole thing.
They are with us since the beginning.
Yeah, so Lina, thanks so much. João, thanks so much. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Just like a huge help. But we also have a patron that we never met before. That's also really cool. That
Yeah, Steven, welcome on board.
Stefan, thanks so much. It means a lot to us that you are just on board with us, and that's really cool. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, we're gonna leave a link for Patreon. That's basically a way of getting closer to us, a way of supporting the channel and supporting our project. And it's just
Let's explain what's our project.
our project. Yeah, maybe it's the first time you're here, right? So we are basically building a tiny ship container house without any prior experience.
No,
We never
not
done
at all.
anything before. We never worked with any of these tools before. And we decided to have a YouTube channel that's just following what we're doing and showing all the small details
The
of
process that we.
the process, the good and the bad process, like all our mistakes. We also show the videos. So we launch a new video every Monday morning on Brazilian time. So if you want to watch, I think the best way is to, we're gonna leave a playlist. In this playlist have all the episodes so far from day 1 to 53. We are episode 53 today.
Yeah.
So 1 year and 1 week. So you can go to this playlist and you can watch the whole thing. It's really cool. Sometimes we go back and watch. It's just cool to see how the house used to look because it's so different from what it's looking now. And that's it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
If you watch this, or if you like what you're watching right now, help us out and just leave us a like. That helps a lot the channel. And if you like even more, you can subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
I think it's not a bad idea. You know, you just subscribe, you hit the button, you click on the little bell, and you come back every Monday because we can entertain you. I mean, like, we don't expect someone professional that know
No,
what they're doing.
not at all.
We are not professionals, we don't know what they're doing, but for sure,
This is not a how-to.
for sure we're gonna show you all our mistakes, and hopefully you won't make the same mistake.
Hope you learn from our mistakes and don't do the same.
We make mistakes so you don't need to make them. So yeah, we'll see you guys
Next Monday.